Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and follow me on these social media platforms. Enjoy the video. Hey guys, I just wanted to take a couple of minutes of your time to talk about something that's been going through my mind a lot recently. And maybe you've been thinking about this too, be it with Dragon Ball or anything else that you've kind of come across with nostalgia in your life. Pretty much, this is not only for my YouTube channel, but also the Dragon Ball community as a whole. Because we are about a month or so out from the premiere, at least domestically in the Western world, of Dragon Ball Super Broly. And I put up a review on this channel. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people had a problem with the way I viewed the movie. And a lot of people have a problem with the way that I view Dragon Ball nowadays, calling me a hater, or really that I don't understand the genre, or at least the series anymore. And I've always really just bagged on it, which isn't true. I mean, this whole channel pretty much became Dragon Ball, even though I didn't really want it to be. My problem with Dragon Ball these days, and I think a lot of people might agree with me on this, but my problem with Dragon Ball is I've been in kind of a rut with the series ever since the end of Dragon Ball Super. Not because Dragon Ball Super was bad, but when Dragon Ball Super ended, the way I reinterpreted and rediscovered my nostalgia, my love for the series, was really much rooted in not only Dragon Ball Super, but the community that I built, or the community that I was involved in as the series was running. The friends I met on this platform, the way we discussed it with one another, and the way we interacted because of it. And we always found time to talk about it. It was right on the tip of everyone's tongue as it was playing from week to week. And as I said multiple times during that time period, one of the reasons I loved Dragon Ball Super more than I think even Dragon Ball Z is because I was able to watch it as it was airing and talk about it with impassioned fans and people that I would still consider to this day friends on a weekly, if not daily basis. Theories, speculation, news, just trying to mark out and try to think about everything that was going to be possible with the series and where it could go in the future, and everything related to that. And once Dragon Ball Super ended, that community really kind of dried up. A lot of people stopped covering Dragon Ball just as much. A lot of people focused not on discussions or talking amongst themselves in their communities, or at least in terms of, my experience with it. But a lot of people started focusing on different content, different ways of making money, different avenues of YouTube and everything related to that. And I feel like now, more than even then, I have to reinterpret my love for Dragon Ball. I need to figure out a different way of approaching this series that doesn't rely on that community that I brought up. And I think that has a lot to do with the way I view Dragon Ball Super Broly. Whether you want to take this as, oh, I was hating Dragon Ball Super Broly, I wasn't. But you can take it as confirmation that if you want to twist my words that way. When I went to go see that movie and the build up to it, I wasn't as excited for it as a lot of fans in the community because I didn't really have the base that I had as I was walking into Dragon Ball Super every single week and as that show played out. A lot of the friends that I had met on this platform were too busy to talk on a regular basis about it or speculate about it or anything else like that. And I've had to approach the post Dragon Ball Super days pretty much alone. And for the most part, almost everybody that I talk to in this community has done the exact same thing. We're focusing on our own content, our own way of appreciating the series, but it's not what we had when the series was going on. And I realized that when I came back to Dragon Ball, and of course I've done this a couple times throughout my period of life, right? I remember when Dragon Ball Z was actually airing on Toonami every single day, right? I started, I think, around the time that Raditz came. I think the first 2 or 3 episodes is the ones that I actually watched first, and I loved it from beginning to end over that, what was it, like a 5-6 year period before they got to the Boo arc and everything ended. And then I kind of dropped off, but I eventually watched GT and I eventually watched all of Dragon Ball. And then once Dragon Ball Z came back with the Battle of Gods movie, I got back and I watched all of it again, and I had a whole lot of fun with it. I started my YouTube channel, and that's what really kind of drove the nostalgia and the love for the series that way. But I was able to recapture it every single time because I was approaching it as a different person, as if I was watching the series in a brand new light every single time. First time, just a kid loving this show, having fun with friends, talking about it, playing the games, the card games, all of it. But then as an adult, it was more an analytical perspective. Like, I wanted to look at this, I wanted to think about every single episode and think about where the story could go, and there was no spoilers for it. We had no idea what was going to happen from week to week, so anything was possible, and I had my community around. We were all talking about it. And then Dragon Ball Super ended, and as I said, a lot of people went their separate ways. You had to figure out a way to make money. For smaller channels, it was kind of hard to keep people on the channel, especially without a weekly anime to keep it relevant or any of the topics that we wanted to cover relevant. And we had to figure out a different way of approaching this series, or just other things on YouTube or other fandom communities in general. So that well just kind of dried up, and without any remaining new content that was outside of the games or any of the other ways that they've kept Dragon Ball relevant since then, it's just kind of been an open field. We didn't know how we were going to really grab back onto Dragon Ball. At least myself, I didn't know how I was going to grab back onto Dragon Ball and really start feeling as passionate about it. I lost my safety net in terms of nostalgia. I lost the way that I was looking at it and the way I was experiencing it with a lot of different people, and that really kind of killed a lot of interest. I didn't have that net, and I didn't have the same way of looking at it. And I realize now, as I'm making this video, and as I've talked about on the Rookie Critic, I was on his channel. I'll leave a link to that podcast that we did because we briefly discussed this. But as I realize now, I still want to cover Dragon Ball. With Dragon Ball Super Broly, I didn't like it as much as everyone else, but I still appreciated it for what it was. So I will go back and rewatch it, probably when it becomes available on home video, and I'll see how I think about it then. But in the future, I feel like when it comes to nostalgia, when it comes to passion and being a fan of any given material, especially one like Dragon Ball, something that you've been a fan of your entire life, I think it's one thing to say you don't like this show anymore, or you're hating on this show just to hate on this, or something else like that. It's more so you loved it for what it was, you let it go, and you came back to it, and you were able to think about it in a completely different way and experience it with a completely new perspective, with completely new people. And then after that goes away, you might have to put it down a little bit more than you would like to, but you'd like to come back to it and think about it in a completely different way, with completely different ideas than you did the last time, or the last time, or something else like that. And hopefully that way, and all that experience will culminate into something much better every single time. So that's what this whole video is about. It's about like recapturing your nostalgia, finding joy in something that's given you joy throughout your entire life, again with a different perspective and a different game plan every single time you come back to it. That's what I want to do with Dragon Ball, and that's why I feel like this channel is going to be a lot different going forward. And the more we get of Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball in general, or anything else like that, I want to always be putting up something different and trying different things. I just have to push myself to that next level, and I have to stop relying on these safety nets and other people that I came to rely on throughout my time when Dragon Ball Super was airing. And I hope you understand what I'm saying here, and maybe if you find yourself thinking the same way about Dragon Ball or anything else, you can understand what I'm saying here and it's helped you one way or the other. At this point, I'm just kind of rambling. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day. New stuff in the future, I guarantee it. Different content, more content on this channel, and we're going to see what we can do with it in 2019. I'm excited. Hope everyone's having a fantastic day. It's been real.